What's going on? See if a few people want to get in here, then we'll start talking. Initial preface. So every year, me and the family go on a hunting slash camping trip. It's usually me, my dad, uncles, a couple folks. We have done it caveman style. We have moved into the glamping section. We have done several things with that. What's something that I do almost every trip is because we go to a really remote and cold place. We do, we cook a meal every night. We sit around the fire. There might be some alcohol involved. There is, it's our peace away from work and everything, right? So it's not a very stressful trip. But I always bring things to test out. I test things out all the time, going on hikes, little short camping trips, day night stuff. This is a multi-day big thing. What's up? This is a multi-day trip, and typically it's where I get to I have an audience too, right? I can say, hey, I got this new thing. Tell me what you think about it. And if my family's full of engineers and my dad, Pop's half-ass ready, he's a mechanic and he's also a very thoughtful guy. So we always share thoughts about gear I'm testing out. Couple things that I'm bringing that are new. I'm bringing a belt kit that I've done a video on that I'm still testing. Eventually there could be a redaction to the video, right? So going to still test it out. Know that any gear that I've reviewed, which I don't do a lot, it is being tested past the review, right? Because one day it could fail in a catastrophic way, and I feel like that's something I need to convey. And when things fail in a training environment, it's kind of the safest place for something to fail. So I try to promote breaking shit in that environment. Okay. On top of that, I have learned through the years, some of the gear needs to be quality. The buy once, cry once is very true for a lot of things that we use, right? I think sleeping bags are buy once, cry once. We're going to get into compasses, but definitely compasses. And I feel like whatever pack you plan to use during an emergency, all right? We all have a pack that we just like using because it's convenient, it's light, it's the right color, whatever it is. And that item doesn't have to be top notch, but there is that little tiny possibility that you need to pick that thing up and run, right? And I have put that mentality into almost all of my kit. Anything I've tried that I did not like instantly got put away, given away, whatever. And I only give it to people who are going to use it so they can tell me what they thought. And I'll never give it to somebody that I love and tell them to, not test it. That's just a me thing. I don't want to test a piece of kit, find out it's garbage, and then go, hey, I don't want it. Take it. I'm going to say, hey, I didn't like it for this reason. Maybe you'll like it for another reason. Tell me what you think later. A prime example is Alice gear. Old Alice gear. It's time tested, proven, but there's modern shit, right? There's modern stuff we can use, and not all the time is that modern stuff better. So if I give somebody my Alice rig and go, this is probably the best shit you're going to have this weekend outside of the stuff I have on, that to them, they're going to learn what the baseline is there, right? So don't give people that you love inferior shit expecting them to use it in an emergency. That's a me thing. I have levels of kit. Like I I have extra plate carriers. I have extra backpacks. I have extra sleeping bags. I have extra everything. And all of it is stuff I have tested and liked and will use again. It's never stuff that's just sitting around that I'm like, I cannot wait for somebody to take this. So, on to today's topics. So I want to talk about compasses and flashbangs. Okay. And I do mean flashbangs. We'll get into that here in a minute. If you've been around my content at all, you understand I have a PACE plan, okay? Primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. It's a level of preparedness plan, and you should plan everything around it, short of like cars, right? If you can afford 4 different cars for those contingencies, go right ahead. But so I want to get into compasses. I have 3 kinds of compass. Okay, I have a base plate compass, I have a lensatic compass, and I have a wrist compass. Now, those are not the types of compass, those are just the kinds I have. Also, they're reputable. Compasses are something you're going to need to trust. And if you know anything about land nav, you're going to need to trust these items. And you're not going to be able to say, I think I can't trust this compass halfway through a trip. So I have a couple criteria for compasses. I want at least a northern hemisphere compass if I can't get a global compass. I'll get into what that is here in a moment. I want a compass that has more than just a compass on it. It needs to be able to measure. It needs to be able to log things. And it also needs to be compact and have a feature that involves some kind of lighting. If so, the examples I have are from Sun2 and Brunton. My wrist compass that I don't have out here is from Sun2, and that is literally just to get a bearing. That is not my nav compass. It's like a wristwatch. It glows a little bit. It doesn't glow a lot. So it's not I'm not just walking around in the woods with a big glow thing on my wrist. I don't care about that one needing, light. But I bought this one a couple years ago. I got it in a Helicon Tex compass case. It is a Sun2 MC2 global compass. So, things about this compass. It's got a mirror. That's for sighting. It's got a lockable bezel, right? And when I say lockable, I mean you can turn it and set it to something. It is a global compass. So what do I mean when I say global versus northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere? Your compass, so magnetic fields around the earth aren't like you're in this magnetic field. They bend. There's some that are only in one place. They add to your declination, okay? And declination on a compass is not something we're going to get into right now. But depending on if you have a global, northern hemisphere, or southern hemisphere compass, is how the needle is weighted, okay? If you look at the needle, this is a fluidless floating needle. So it has a magnet on it that is attracted to the earth, okay, and orientates the needle. But what the global versus southern and northern hemisphere does is it puts a weight on that compass so that it doesn't ride one way or the other. A global compass has a weight that's evenly distributed around the needle. A northern hemisphere compass puts the weight on the southern needle to give it a more accurate point to a northern azimuth, and a southern hemisphere is the opposite. It has the weight on the northern compass, the northern needle. So what does that mean? It means that your compass will not wear improperly. It's like balancing a tire. Okay, so if you put a new tire on a wheel and you get it and they spin it around that machine, they're testing to see if it's going to wobble because this side is like a couple grams heavier than this side, and then they put a little wheel weight on it and then it balances the needle or balances the wheel. That's what a global northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere needle is for. Most cheap compasses, if you go on Amazon right now and you get the military compass, the green one that is a lensatic compass, yes, it is a compass. No, it is not awesome. Yes, it will get you to where you need to go, kind of. It's not even weighted. Most of those don't have a balance to the needle, which is going to degrade its accuracy over time faster than any of the ones I have here. And it is also going to not give you the most accurate reading. A fluid compass, you know, when you drop a level and you get an extra bubble in there, you don't want bubbles in your compass because it'll push that needle around. The fluid isn't balanced at this point. So I get, you know, non-fluid needles. So I brought my little flashlight. A cool thing I like about this compass is it's got some luminescent stuff in it. Right, there you go. Takes a little bit to charge it up and it'll stay charged for a while. It's got it on the needle and the doghouse. So right, if I move the needle, if I can move it like, well, because you're there. Put the needle in the doghouse, all right, and you can line it up. It's like a sight. This one also has a inclinometer, so I can test, or I can measure the incline to a slope. That's not something that most people in land nav need, but if you're doing some kind of reconnaissance or anything like that, that is important. This comes with a lanyard. It also has a clear acrylic base with measurements on them. It's even got some of the military, you know, the L shape designators, but it's also got a locking bezel. And this one has an adjustable declination. It's got a little hole here with a set screw, and declination for where I'm at is about 6 degrees, 7 degrees. I can set it to that, and I don't have to account for it every time I pull out my compass. Love that. That's one of the best things I love about this particular compass, Suunto, S-U-U-N-T-O. I believe they're Swedish. Finland. They're from Finland. But they make really good compasses. And this was the first like big step into a proper compass for me outside of the military that I got. But what I'm very excited for this weekend is I'm going to test a new compass. That's why I'm going to bring multiple. It is from Brunton, B-R-U-N-T-O-N. They are made in America, which I really like, but they made a Lensatic compass. So a lot of compasses in the military are a Brunton compass. Some of them are another brand, but so this has an NSN number. But the things I love about a Lensatic compass, all right, just a classic military compass, are a few things. One, it's got a locking bezel. You push your sight piece down, it locks that bezel. So if you get an azimuth, right, if I sight my azimuth with the wire and the sighting piece, and I'm like, all right, I want to go 62 degrees. That's my landmark. It's at 62. I can lock that in and it'll stay put. That comes in handy for several reasons. I will remember it when I open my compass next. So man, when you are sighting your compasses, there is you need to keep track of several things. You need to keep track of your pace count. I haven't put tape in here to write my pace count on it yet or anything like that. But that's just, there's several things. This is a somewhat expensive compass. What does that mean to me? A, it's made with quality materials. All right. They make a tritium one. Unfortunately, when I was ordering this, it wasn't available. Tritium is just radioactive to isotope, means it just gives off electrons that glows in the dark without light being given to it. This is just their luminescent option. I'll light this one up, and it's really bright. I'll light this one up real quick. There you go. All right. So this one, it has luminescent stuff under the bezel so that it'll backlight the numbers you are reading. And then it's got west and east next to the numbers lit up, and you can read the backlit letters. It's even got a little bit on the north needle. I love this one. It's in mils and what the fuck? Mils and can't remember the other reading right now. Anyway, not important. But very nice compass. When you've used land nav, me and Pops talked about this recently. I was excited I got my new compass, and we got into how people, when is the OnlyFans dropping? Only feet is already up. It's not taken off yet. You need to subscribe. It's all Hobbit feet. Um, the the argument that he comes into contact with a lot is why people use so much GPS, Garmin Fortrexes, and you name it. With a compass, the standard argument, I don't have batteries, whatever. It's a skill that I'm replacing the GPS with. In relation to a map, I've got this. If I can break a GPS in about 5 seconds, get it into my hands, I'll break it for you. Okay, this is going to be a little harder to break. All right, it's going to be a little harder. But it is a skill that you need, especially when you're in an area you're not familiar with. So between here and Pop's house, I know that area like the back of my hand, minus one area that is all vegetation. And that's a place where I'm going to need at least a cardinal direction to head in, at least an azimuth. An azimuth is the number you're going to walk, right? If you're going 30 degrees, that is your azimuth. In the jungles of Vietnam, where you can't even see the sun in most places, you need this to find where you're at, or where you're going. And the things that this can do outweigh the reasons why I don't want to bring one. It's not very heavy, and it's useful as shit. If I need let's say I need a rescue, right? And I'm like, all right, I don't know where I'm at, but if I get in contact with somebody on a radio or whatever, I can shoot an azimuth to a mountain, shoot an azimuth to a mountain, shoot an azimuth to a third thing if I can see one, and I can say, these are the readings I'm getting for these mountains. Here's what they look like. And maybe somebody can get on a map and triangulate close to where I'm at. It'll at least give you a good guess. Or if you're like, hey, I went east, I walked a whole day east from this last place I know. And if I say east, I know I was walking east. All right. There's just a bunch of reasons to bring one. And general reconnaissance. Okay. So if I am watching a target and I'm going to pre-measure this thing for artillery or whatever, I can shoot my azimuths. I can get accurate measurements without being on the objective. I can also, if a trail is pointing a way that I don't know where it's at, I can get a really good guess of the azimuth they're walking instead of just saying they're going left or west or whatever that is. I can say, well, no, they're kind of going a little northwest, which is a big deal for reconnaissance. You don't want to be vague. But it also comes with an Alice clip, which I thought was cool, but it comes with a retro style case, which it's got a belt loop and everything. I thought that was just a cool throwback. I really don't care about the case. I can put it in anything. But I'm going to try out the case because we're going to try stuff out. You want a compass that can keep up with you, right? So if you drop stuff a lot, you're going to need a good compass. If you wear glasses, you want a good compass because all the readings are going to be very clear to read, and this has a magnifying glass on it. You can read with the magnifying glass. If you get a cheap compass that's got fluid in it or something, the fluid can become occluded and you might not be able to read everything so well. That's why we're going to try not to write on the actual bezel of the compass outside of like an important azimuth that I need. So we're going to try to keep that as clean as possible. Another thing I like about this, speaking of the bezel, it's got clickies. All right. It's a very positive click. So if I orient this to 0 on the bezel, I can not just lock in an azimuth, I can log another azimuth. Okay. And then I can lock it down. And now I have 2 azimuths marked if I need that. Get into a habit of resetting stuff. So this is not just something to use. This is an instrument. Okay. It measures things. This is an instrument. This isn't a machine. This isn't a toy. It isn't a paperweight. This is an instrument. And if you use things as an instrument, you're going to take a lot more care of it. If I tell you, if I hand you a sextant, if you know what that is, where that seafarers use to measure the horizon and find their location. If I handed you one of those and say, hey, this instrument is very, very sensitive. Do not bash it. Be very careful with it. You're going to pick it up dainty, put it down until you get your own. Then you know what you're going to do with your section. You're going to chuck it on the table, right? I've got my lanyard on me, so I can't drop it right now. I was sitting here like, man, I'm going to drop this, and I put my lanyard on. All right, so and it comes with a piece of cord for a lanyard. So you know most compasses do. You need to be able to. You don't want to lose it. All right, so if it falls out of the case, it's dummy corded to the case, my belt, me, something. Very important piece as a kit. I think that compasses are kind of underrated, and they're not looked at like proper instruments for anything. They're just like, oh, I got a compass in the bag. Well, yeah, you got a cheapo from Amazon, and we're gonna see who's more accurate when we do a star course, right? So, all right, and feel free to ask any questions about land nav. I'm kind of a land nav dork. I love land nav. I think it's very fun to practice, which makes me super weird. But the Boy Scout handbook, if you read my appendix or if you watch my appendix N video about the Boy Scout handbook, there's a rather large section on land navigation that is written for 13-year-old boys. So you will be able to understand it. Then get the Marine Corps manual on land nav. There you go. It's made for dummies. So the title of this is Compasses and Flashbangs. I want to get into something a little exciting, a little more fun, and I think it's something that a lot of people will agree on when I put it a certain way. So I talked about my PACE plan. Okay, PACE plan also includes command and signal. Command and signal is how I'm running my troops, how I plan on getting rescued. It's how I want to communicate with other people, and I have multiple levels of each. So in my packs, I have road flares. Not only is it emergency fire, you can see them from the air in the daytime. They emit very bright light and smoke. I also have a Viz 17, a cut down Viz 17 panel, which is orange and magenta. It almost glows in the dark. And I keep one of those in my truck. And that is prime for signaling. If you're ever stuck in something, it is a very unnatural thing to see in nature. Those colors, like houses, aren't even painted fluorescent magenta. Okay, so you all can also send signals with it if you have them worked out with another element. One thing that I have been dying to try, one thing I have tried and I know it works, is a smoke grenade. So this is an Enola Gay smoke grenade. This is a single-ended one. They have ones that burn out both sides. It's got a pull tab and a protective cap. They're made of cardboard. They're like a firecracker, but they don't have flame. Or external flame is what I should say. The airsoft paintball community is filled with people who make smoke grenades. If you order smoke grenades, understand it's going to be expensive. There is I think it's $45 hazmat fee to ship them. So if you find a place close by that sells airsoft / paintball smoke grenades, go there to buy them. You'll save yourself $50. But also boat smokes. That's something I have been on the lookout for years. I don't know if people buy the fuck out of them. I don't know what, but a boat smoke is literally it's like a can, like this cup, with a screw top. You pull it and you can chuck it, and it will float in water. It's a great signaling device. They billow out shit tons of smoke, and even boat flares. Boat flares have like a plastic body. I have one around here somewhere. They float. So if you drop it, it'll float. They emit light and smoke. Great for signaling. The smoke grenade itself is like, you can get colored smoke grenades, orange, red, blue, purple, whatever, and have different. A lot of these are marketed as photography smokes, right? So if you do crazy photography, you can get colored smoke in a shot or whatever. That's one way to shop for them. But I have not been in a situation where I need to use it, but I have tested them. There are different sizes of ones. Some people, I can't remember the company names. Y'all have to do some research on your own. There's one company that makes military style smoke grenades. They're not as powerful as a military smoke. A military Mark 18 or M18 smoke grenade will billow out. It's something like 35,000 cubic inches of smoke. It's huge. It's bigger than a house. It's bigger than 3 houses, and it will burn for a long time. So you can make a giant, they're using them for concealment, right? So they want to make a wall of smoke. I need signaling. So I need something that can put color into the air very rapidly. And if it can make more, it'll make more. This is about as small as I want it to be. And it does not say how much smoke it makes on here. Doesn't say. Oh, and this is a red smoke. So smoke grenades are just something to take into consideration. You don't need them. Road flares have more uses, more readily available, cheaper, and you can just use them all the time. Like if you want to start a fire, like a big bonfire, you pour diesel fuel on it, light a road flare, chuck it in there. Who cares, right? And you can get road flares that are this long that burn for like 30 minutes or something like that. The regular ones that are like this tall, they burn for about 15. So a road flare is just nice for emergency fire. In my pace plan, if I have to pull out my road flare, I needed a fire, right? I don't want to give up my signaling device, and if my matches, my lighter, my fire rod, whatever else I got doesn't work, I have a road flare. That's just something to consider. But something else. So I'm talking about sight, okay? There is one part of my pace plan that is not covered, and that is audible. I have some whistles. I have a 3D printer. I 3D printed a whistle that is freaking loud. And I'm going to be bringing it with me, and we're going to test it this go around. So what is something I can use? Well, we'll go back to the airsoft paintball community. A flashbang, all right? And when I say flashbang, cops have flashbangs. They make a big ball of light and a big concussive sound. This thing sounds like a freaking gunshot. It uses a CO2 cartridge, a plastic body. When you chuck it, the CO2 empties rapidly into this plastic body and creates a loud pop. Okay, and that's all it does. Now, it's a little heavy for what it does, but it can be used as a distraction device. It can be used as a signaling device. It's just not something I want to bring with me. But I do want to bring one just to see how loud it is and how far away somebody can hear me. If you've ever been to a hunter safety course or anything like that, you will find that they are like, hey, fire 3 shots, return a shot if you hear it. So if I'm out in the woods lost hunting, fire a shot, fire shot, fire shot, right? Think SOS, 333. You fire 3 shots, and if I hear somebody fire 3 shots, I will fire one back in return to let them know they are heard and to give them a direction to start walking in. More shots, more defined direction of travel. Is this something I recommend to everyone? Absolutely not. But for the price, okay, this is a who makes this freaking thing? APS Conceptions. You have to buy, undo it here. Okay, so this is the main body. The CO2 cartridge goes in here, and then when you pull the pin, this spoon is retained on the body. It does not fly off, but you can break them, so you can buy extra pins and and spoons. But just like a regular grenade, it's got a big firing pin that pushes a spike into the top of the CO2 cartridge that is in here. You have to get spacing right. You have to make sure these are protected in a case. But the other thing that is for sale are the bodies, right? So it comes with these caps. You don't have to use the caps, but they make them louder. And they just thread on. So when you chuck it and you retrieve it, you throw this away, put another CO2 cartridge in here, put another body on, twist it together, and there you go. That's a flashbang. And I'm just going to use flashbang just because I like calling them flashbangs. And they have different shaped bodies. Some of them I've tested all of them. This is one of the louder bodies they have. There are some that are louder, but I don't like the way they're shaped. You want something that's small with all that gas. The faster that body fills up, the faster it pops, the faster the sound is going, the more loud it's going to be. Kind of off the beaten path from what I usually talk about for this, but it is an option. If I were to bring this with me, okay, I can think of a few concepts. One, if like something is like a road rage incident or something, somebody's getting out of their car or whatever, I don't want them to think I'm shooting at them, right? So I'm not going to like chuck this, use it as a distraction to leave. But if I come up on a situation and I need to make my presence like my attention, right? I can chuck this out without throwing a lethal shot into something, pull my weapon out, pop, make myself known, charge a situation. That's typically what flashbangs are used for. But if I'm in the woods, I can set this up as an alert device. I can put it up against a tree, tie it down, put the pin on a tripwire. When you walk, pop. Okay, so that's one thing we can do. These aren't going to hurt anybody, right? That's the point. A real flashbang can hurt you. This won't hurt you. This won't hurt anything. I can secure my camp with it. And like I said, if I'm walking through the woods and I'm lost, I'm gonna go, shit. See if anybody hears that. If my whistle doesn't work, me shouting doesn't work, this might work, right? It'll at least give somebody a direction, like, hey, I heard something that way a little while ago. Maybe he's that way, kind of deal. Explore options is really what I want to get into, right? Explore options. I don't want to leave an option on the table like the smokes, the boat smokes and the boat flares and things, road flares. I didn't think of that. I got that idea from 12 ways or 6 ways in, 12 ways out, which I have an appendix in on, which I'm going to do a further review video on that, talking about specific concepts within the book. My video is one of 2 videos about that book on the internet. You need to go look up that book. The way to get it is a little difficult. It's super weird. It is an actual active military manual. Won't get into it on here. But those concepts really opened me up to be like, oh, cool. If I can take a road flare, like a little tiny, it doesn't even look like if I handed this to somebody, they might think it's a firecracker or some kind of weird lip balm or whatever the hell it is, right? Can't remember what shampoo company, they make like giant chapstick now. That world can bleed into other things. The airsoft world, like they want to look and feel as real as they can. So if they get a smoke grenade that puts actual smoke into the air or something that actually pops and bangs without hurting anybody, that's amazing, right? But it's resources for us. I can't tell you how many items I've run into that is like used by a community that is now being appropriated by another community and can be used for a very good purpose, be it self-rescue or whatever. All right. So, Sun2 and Brunton for the compasses, Enola Gay, APS for the flashbang. Nobody's sponsoring me, so this is like genuine reviews of stuff I'm testing. They're good. They're good. This Sun2 compass I have been using for years, and I love it. You can buy them on Amazon. It's the Sun2 MC2 Global. They are a little pricey, but get you one. You won't be dissatisfied. Get on Brunton's website, Brunton's actual website. You can order them through Amazon, but I was unclear when I was ordering them through Amazon if I was getting a global compass or a Southern Hemisphere compass or a Northern Hemisphere compass. I decided to order it from the company, saying what I needed. Okay, and they make compasses like this Sun2. They make base plate compasses, right? Sighting tools. They make really fancy stuff for like surveyors. That I have no idea how to use or why I would need something of that caliber, right? But they do make them. They probably have features I would not know how to use unless I was a surveyor, right? So there is a level of like, I don't need that. I need this, and I need this down to here, and then anything below that I'm not touching. So get into that. If you want to learn land navigation, there's a couple ways to do it. One, you're going to need to read something. There's plenty of guides online. Brunton has some cool videos about land nav. The Ranger Handbook has a section on land nav. The Marine Corps manual has it. There's an Army Field manual that has it. The Boy Scout Handbook is the place I would tell anyone to start because it has so much more in there than just land nav. So much more. The Boy Scout Handbook, especially now, the newest edition, is amazing. I flip through it most days when I'm not reading anything else. I'll, trying to find ideas for videos or trying to find ideas for things that I need to train on, like knot tying. I'm adept at knot tying, but I have not practiced in forever. So going back in there and saying, hey, this knot, this knot, this knot, we're going to tie them today. Blah, 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 blah. Because y'all know me, I like to train the unsexy stuff. I love the unsexy stuff because when it comes time for the shit, the unsexy stuff is going to come to the forefront. And it's, everybody wants to be on the flat range shooting paper. Man, I'm sorry, that's not going to be the thing that saves you. If I'm running through the mountains and you have to come to me every 5 minutes for land nav, what were you wasting your time training on? All right. When you come to my pack every 10 minutes and ask for a signaling device or, whatever, why didn't you ask me this before the op? All right. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. A very wise Marine told me that when I was very young. Okay. So try that in your everyday life. If you need to go train the unsexy stuff, do it. So if you want to read up on it, watch some videos, go to your local state national park and use the trails. The trails are something you would know if you've been there before. If you don't, there's maps available. And the maps will tell you how long the trail is, how hard it is. It'll show the terrain you're going up and down. You can measure your pace count on those trails, and then you can test your pace count on those trails. You need a couple different pace counts. That's topic for another video. But you can do it in a place that you know, and you can do it in a place that is going to be forgiving if you have mistakes. You don't want to be bushwhacking through the middle of nowhere on your first try. And then you need to find a way to train with other people. Other people are going to hold you accountable for getting lost. If you get lost by yourself and you end up finding your car by accident, no one else is going to know what you did wrong, and you're not going to know what you did wrong. Okay, so, and this is where my note-taking talk comes in handy. Take notes. First time you go out, write down everything you did. All right. If you don't know anything about EOD, explosive ordnance disposal, they are on the radio talking to a guy saying everything they do so that if it does blow up, they know what they did to lead up to that, and somebody can find out what happened after they're gone. All right. That's something you need to take into account with your training. Everything you do. If you don't have a training log, you're not doing it right. Have a training log. Write down what you trained, how long you trained for, what you might have learned, what you got wrong, and practice. You go back to your journal when you're going to practice that thing. Go, cool. My land nav last time, I totally forgot to account for declination. Let's try to fix that this time. All right. Just little things that if they're not said out loud, right, it doesn't make sense. And I like to say those things out loud because Mimi small brain, Mimi smooth brain, Mimi need reassurance from self. Okay. So I have to say things out loud to be like, okay, I'm going to read my compass now. Like that might be something, especially when you're stressed, is something you might need to do. So get into that practice when you're not stressed and just needing to learn something, and you'll do it when the time counts. You will sync to your level of training. All right. So that's pretty much all I have for today. I'm going to try to make a video with Pops while we're up in the woods. And the interview video with my grandfather that's on the channel, that is from a hunting trip. He had so much fun doing that. And I want to do more stuff like that. And might have a couple surprises. Okay. So I'm going to try to film some stuff. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But for now, thanks everybody for stopping by. I know it was impromptu. I need to start announcing these, and I need a firmer schedule. But everybody that showed up, thank you. This is going to be up forever, so come back and watch it if you need any more information. Leave questions. I'll read the comments. Hit me up if you need to. Instagram is still live. All right, I cannot go live on there now, so that's why we're moving to here more. If we need to find another option, we will in the future. But for right now, this is what we got. So, all right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. G&G, thanks for stopping. Oh, Leonard. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Hug your families. Stay safe.